Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to another day of class. We are going to be continuing on with our decimal operations unit. To begin with, let's look at your answers for your on your own activity from the previous lesson. On the screen, you will find the equations as well as the final answers for each of the questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message on Google Classroom or on Remind. All right, so today we're going to get started. We are going to be looking at Johnny from the Toy Factory. And Johnny from the Toy Factory, he is in charge of packing Legos in a box. And from previous units, we know that we can find the volume of a rectangular prism by multiplying the length times the width times the height. And we can get the volume, which is also how much space an object takes, or how much space is in the object of our rectangular prism. So that is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to still be looking at multiplication, but we're going to add a new layer to multiplying decimals. So in this first part, when Johnny is packing the Legos, he has a length of 23 and 4/10 inches and a width of 13 inches. So I want to learn what is the base area of the box, the new boxes. So I will have to multiply 23 and 4/10 times 13. And as always, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my decimal point out of the way. This time, I'm only moving my decimal point one time out of the way. I just have to move it on the other side of the 4. So when I get my final answer is 3,042. But keep in mind, I have to put that decimal point back into my problem. So I'm going to move it here. So what is the base area of the new boxes? The base area is 304 and 2/10 squared inches. Okay? But remember when I said when we multiply or when we find the volume, we have to find the length, the width, and the height. So we've multiplied the length and the width. Now we have to multiply the height. So we're going to take this number 304 and 2/10 and multiply it by the height. So we learn now that the height is 9 and 8/10 inches. Now this is where it's a little bit different than what we did in previous days. Before, when we were looking at all of our multiplying decimals, the decimal was just in one of the numbers, one of the factors. In this case, the decimal is in both of the factors, and we have to acknowledge and move the decimal out of both. So we have 304 and 2/10 times 9 and 8/10. And in both cases, I'm going to move the decimal out, one space here, one space here, which means that I move the decimal 2 times. Okay? So I'm going to put the 2 to the side. Okay? Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to multiply what seems like 3,042 times 98, and I'm going to get the answer. I'm going to get the answer 298,116. However, that would be the answer if I was multiplying by whole numbers, but I'm not. I'm multiplying by decimals. So, like before, when I move those decimals out of the way 2 times, one time for the top number and one time for the bottom number, I have to move the decimals back in. So I'm going to come down here, starting on my right hand side, and I'm going to move the decimal in 1, 2 times. So the final volume of the new boxes that Johnny is making for the Toy Factory is 2,981 and 1,600 cubic inches. Okay. All right, so let's go through that again from the beginning. And let's look at what should we do when we're multiplying decimals that have where each factor has its own decimal. So they changed Annabelle's boxes too. So in this case, we're going to be helping Annabelle with her fine jewelry packing. and we're going to find the dimensions of her new boxes. So in this case, we're going to start off by multiplying 5 4/10 times 2 3/10. So like before, the first thing I need to do is I need to move my decimals out the way. So I'm going to move it out the way one time here and one time here, which gives me a total move of 2. So when I multiply 5 4/10 times 2 3/10, or 54 times 23, when I move the decimal out of the way, what do you get as your answer? Okay, I have 1,242. And then, just like before, I need to move my decimal point back into the problem 2 times. So starting from the right-hand side, moving to the left-hand side, 1, 2. So that's my base area. So that is my length and my width. Then I have to take that same number, 12 42/100, and now multiply it by the height, the 2 6/10. Just like before, I'm going to move the decimal out the way. However, this time is a little bit different because my top factor has 2 place values after the decimal. So I'm going to move my decimal point out of the way 2 times here, and then I'm going to move my decimal point out the way 1 time here, which gives me a total decimal move of 3 place values. So I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to solve for 1,242 times 26. And when you get your final answer, it should be 32,292. But like before, we have to go back and we have to move our decimal back in 3 place values this time, because we had 2 place values behind the decimal for the top and 1 place value behind the decimal for the bottom factor. So starting once again from the right, we're going to move over from 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So the volume of the boxes, of Annabelle's boxes, is 32 and 292 cubic inches. Okay? Alright, so today for your on your own assignment, you are going to be doing something similar where you are going to be multiplying decimals where both factors will have a decimal point in the numbers. However, I do want you to keep in mind that not only will you be multiplying, but you could be multiplying single steps, you could be multiplying with multi-step problems, you may need to add, you may need to subtract. So please make sure you are reading each question carefully. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on Google Classroom or Remind, or you can save all your questions for our Zoom meeting after this lesson. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you. Have a good day.